In this problem, we want to find the inverse of g of x. So the first thing that I want to do is, where I've got to find the inverse, so we always start by writing the steps. So we'll call this method 1. And method 1 is, I think, the easiest way to do this. So what's happening first to x is we're going to add 2. Then after we add 2, we're going to cube it. So this is the first thing, this is the second thing, and then the third thing, we're going to add 1. So to get the inverse, we just reverse the steps. So to get the inverse, we're just going to reverse the steps. So that's going to be, so the inverse of g of x is going to equal, we're going to subtract. So remember, we're doing the opposite, so we're going this way. We're going to subtract 1. And so the opposite of cubing is going to be the cubed root of x minus 1, and the opposite of adding 2 is subtracting 2. So that's my inverse. That's probably the easiest way. Method 2 is when you look up how to find the inverse, you're going to see this technique. And some of you may like this better, some may not. So the first thing is I'm going to rewrite the equation with y in it. Then I'm going to switch the x and the y. So when I switch the x and the y, I get this plus 1. And so then at this point, we're going to switch, oopsie, I can spell. We're going to switch x, I can do this, switch x and y. And then we're going to solve for y. So I want to solve for this. So I gotta subtract 1 from both sides. So I get x minus 1 equals y plus 2 cubed. Then I want to take the cubed root. And then remember, if I do it to that side, I have to do it to the other side. So then this ends up giving me y plus 2, and that's the cubed root of x minus 1. And then I want to get y by itself. So then I get y equals the cubed root of x minus 1 minus 2. Alright, so then just to get our notation correctly, this right here is my inverse, so it would be inverse g of x equals the cubed root of x minus 1 minus 2. So some people really prefer this method. Sometimes I like switching the x and the y and solving for y. I'm comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with algebra, but the first method is obviously pretty easy to do too. So it's just whatever you're comfortable with. I think it's good to know both ways.